Meghan Markle fans are already asking for a refund.
Meghan Markle's so-called Best Life retreat has exploded into a full-blown embarrassment, and now furious guests are not asking questions quietly. They are demanding their money back. Thousands of dollars gone, expectations shattered, and what was sold as a glamorous luxury experience is now being whispered about as one of the biggest celebrity letdowns in recent memory. People came chasing inspiration, access, prestige, maybe even a personal moment with Meghan Markle. Instead, they say they got confusion, distance, and a vanishing act so fast it left jaws on the floor. This was supposed to be dazzling. A high-end women's retreat in Australia, elegant branding, exclusive atmosphere, networking, poolside luxury, fine food, personal connection. The promise was not subtle. It was crafted like a fantasy weekend where attendees would spend real time with one of the world's most talked about public figures. But the whispers started before the doors even fully opened. If this event was such a sensation, why were so many seats reportedly empty? Why were people still being invited at the last minute? Why did the sold-out story suddenly look suspiciously thin?
Had here, and there's some guests of that retreat who are now wanting refunds after they paid around $2,000 for tickets.
Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Meghan arrived. Cameras restricted. Security tight. Anticipation electric. Guests who had paid eye-watering prices believed they were about to enter a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But almost immediately, something felt off. The energy in the room shifted from excitement to calculation. Eyes were checking the clock. People were counting minutes. Was this really happening? Was the star attraction already preparing to leave? Sources from the event describe a stunning mismatch between what was marketed and what was delivered. This was advertised as a 3-day retreat, a weekend immersion, a chance to interact, ask questions, connect, and share space. Yet attendees say Meghan's visible presence felt shockingly brief. Some reports mention 2 hours tied to a gala dinner. Others insist the main appearance felt closer to 30 minutes. 30 minutes! For a ticket price many say reached around $2,000 or more. That number did not just sting, it detonated outrage.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the pay-per-view royals, landed in Australia today in a fake royal tour that they'll use to make money.
When people spend premium money, they do not measure value only in minutes. They measure it in access, in warmth, in effort, in whether someone seemed present or merely passing through. And that is where the backlash appears to have exploded, because many guests reportedly felt the person they came to see had already disappeared almost as soon as she arrived. One moment the room was buzzing, the next moment she was heading toward the car. That image alone became symbolic, the retreat still happening, the guests still processing, and the headline figure already gone. Imagine the conversations at those tables afterward. People looking at one another in disbelief. Did we misunderstand the package? Was there another session? Is she coming back later? Surely this can't be it. But as the confusion settled in, frustration rose fast. Because when reality crashes into hype, people do not stay calm for long. They start asking who knew what, who promised what, and where the money went.
Meghan Markle's $3,000 a head women's retreat in Sydney has failed to sell out. The Duchess of Sussex making a fleeting appearance at the venue last night. A standard $2,699 ticket, buying the guests 2 nights in a shared room at Coogie's 5-star Intercontinental Hotel in Sydney's eastern suburbs, plus food and drink, and a conversation with Ms. Markle.
And there was another sting beneath the surface. Many supporters came not just as customers, but as loyal believers. They had followed her story, defended her publicly, admired her independence, and wanted a meaningful encounter. They expected honesty, conversation, inspiration. Instead, many say they were left with strangers, awkward scheduling, and a premium-priced social mixer missing its central figure. That is when disappointment turns personal. The room itself reportedly became part of the scandal. It allegedly held around 300 people, yet large sections were said to remain unfilled. If true, that detail matters because image is everything at events like this. A packed room says demand. Empty patches say something else entirely. And once people notice gaps, they start questioning every earlier claim. Was it really sold out? Were ticket sales slower than advertised? Were last-minute offers made to fill space? Those questions began swirling instantly. Then came the emotional center of the fury. Guests felt they paid luxury prices for ordinary inconvenience. Some were reportedly paired in shared rooms with people they did not know. Others said the glamorous sisterhood atmosphere promised online felt more like logistical chaos on arrival. Smiles became complaints. Excitement became refund talk. And once the front desk starts hearing anger, the whole mood of an event can collapse in hours. There was also the phone controversy. Guests reportedly had devices taken or heavily restricted, passed through security measures, and blocked from freely capturing memories. Now think about that. In an age where people document everything, attendees at a premium celebrity event expected at least a few treasured photos, proof they were there, a keepsake, something to justify the spend. Instead, many were left with stories and resentment. No personal pictures, no casual moments, no visible evidence of the magic they were promised. And that absence created another dangerous question. If the experience was truly amazing, why did it need to be hidden so tightly? Sometimes silence protects exclusivity. Other times, silence breeds suspicion. In this case, it appears to have done the second one. By the end of the first wave of reactions, one phrase was already dominating everything: refunds. Guests reportedly wanted compensation, explanations, accountability. What was marketed as empowerment was being described by critics as a cash grab gone cold. What was supposed to elevate a public image may have deepened the doubts around it. And while the retreat itself ended, the fallout had only begun. Because once people feel humiliated after paying premium prices, they do not forget quickly, and they do not stay quiet. The anger did not cool down after the doors closed. It intensified. Because once attendees started comparing notes, the picture became even more explosive. One guest believed there would be meaningful one-on-one moments. Another expected long group sessions. Someone else thought VIP pricing meant genuine proximity, premium seating, and memorable photo opportunities. But as people began piecing together their experiences, many concluded they had paid elite prices for an event that felt strangely hollow. And that is when disappointment transformed into something far louder: betrayal. The VIP tiers reportedly crossed the $2,200 mark, while even early bird pricing hovered around $1,900. Those are not casual numbers. That is serious money for many people. Money saved, planned, justified, and spent with expectation. Guests were not buying a random weekend getaway. They believed they were buying access to Meghan Markle, a rare and intimate experience with one of the most recognized women in the world. So when that access felt limited, rushed, or missing altogether, the outrage became inevitable. People can forgive imperfection. They rarely forgive feeling misled. Then came one of the most damaging whispers of all, that Meghan allegedly left to attend another public appearance, reportedly a rugby-related event, while paying guests were left stewing over the retreat. Whether every detail is perfectly remembered or not, the perception alone was devastating, because optics matter. If supporters believe they were second priority while something else looked more glamorous or useful, the emotional wound deepens instantly. It stops being about scheduling. It becomes about value. Who mattered more, the fans who paid or the next headline? The organizers were not spared either. Reports suggested tickets were still being sold close to the event date, and potential attendees were being contacted with incentives, even chances to bring friends. That kind of scramble sends a message no luxury event wants attached to its name: desperation. If demand were overwhelming, why the chase? If the retreat was thriving, why the urgency to fill seats? Every unanswered question became another spark on dry grass. Even the accommodation issue added fuel. Shared rooms reportedly had to be converted into solo rooms because occupancy was lower than expected. On paper, that might sound like an upgrade, but in context, critics saw it as proof the anticipated crowd never arrived. And when attendance appears weaker than advertised, people start doubting the entire narrative. The glamorous fade begins to crack, and once that happens, every detail looks suspicious. For many guests, the most painful part was not the money, it was the emotional math. They had defended her, admired her, followed her story through years of headlines and controversy. They believed they were supporting a woman who understood exclusion, pressure, public scrutiny, and reinvention. They expected warmth, empathy, and generosity with time. Instead, critics say they experienced distance, restriction, and speed. That contrast hurt more than the ticket price ever could. And then the scandal took another turn: commerce. Reports linked Meghan to a fashion shopping platform where outfits worn during the Australian appearances were allegedly being posted for purchase purchased through affiliate-style links. Suddenly, critics began asking a brutal question. Was this trip about connection or conversion? Were the appearances moments of service and fan engagement, or moving billboards for monetized style? In the age of influencer culture, those questions land hard, because once people suspect they were treated as consumers rather than supporters, everything changes. The smile looks strategic, the outfit looks transactional, the schedule looks optimized. Even a brief appearance starts feeling less like celebrity fatigue and more like calculated efficiency. Show up, be seen, move product, move on. Whether fair or unfair, that perception spread quickly and became toxic. Then came perhaps the most sensitive accusation of all. Critics claim that after visiting survivors connected to the tragic Bondi Beach attack story, clothing connected to her appearance was also being monetized online. That claim enraged observers because it fused grief with branding. A solemn human moment, they argued, should never sit beside shopping links and sales energy. Even the suggestion of that crossover was enough to trigger intense backlash. Now the refund question hangs over everything. Will guests ever get their money back? Will organizers take responsibility? Will blame be shifted to contracts, packages, misunderstandings, or promotional wording? These situations often dissolve into technicalities while attendees remain furious. But reputational damage does not need a legal verdict. It happens in conversations, comment sections, group chats, and dinner tables. It happens when people tell friends don't believe the hype. For Meghan, the larger problem may not be one retreat in Australia. It may be the pattern critics are eager to build from moments like this. Every controversy becomes another tile in a mosaic opponents already want the world to see. Overpromised, underdelivered, image first, people second. Whether that picture is fair or deeply biased almost stops mattering once it spreads. Public narratives survive on repetition, and that is why this story refuses to die quietly, because it contains all the ingredients modern gossip feeds on: celebrity glamour, expensive disappointment, empty seats, restricted phones, angry fans, luxury branding, and the eternal suspicion that something hidden mattered more than what was promised. People do not just discuss scandals like this because of money. They discuss them because they reveal how power behaves when ordinary people pay to get close to it. Somewhere tonight, those attendees are still replaying the weekend in their minds. The anticipation, the arrival, the short appearance, the confusion, the sinking realization. And somewhere else, strategists are likely asking a different question entirely: how do you repair trust once supporters feel used? Because tickets can be refunded, rooms can be rebooked, headlines can be managed. But once believers become skeptics, that damage is far harder to reverse. And the silence around this retreat, it still sounds suspicious.